Hi and welcome to a technical model of the back squat. Squatting is seen as one of the most natural movement patterns known to man. The concept of the body being able to flex and extend through four ranges is a true demonstration of skill and balance. It is of no coincidence that athletes use this movement attractor to build relevant capacities for their respective sports. Let's take a deeper look at the back squat. There are two primary versions of back squatting, both useful but for varying reasons. You have high bar back squatting, often seen in the Olympic weightlifting community, and low bar back squatting, commonly seen around the powerlifting community. Because the squat allows the athlete to demonstrate their personal ability to fold and extend, the muscular system's role is to support and balance the structures of the body, in particular when placed under load. Essentially, the placement of the bar during a back squat affects the joint angles involved and thereby influences how force is applied to the lower back, legs, hip, knee, and ankle musculature. So depending on whether you are using the high or low bar system, the placement of the bar will change the lifter's necessity to maintain the bar midfoot relationship, and ultimately affect which muscles are being used predominantly. And so in this technical model of the back squat, I'm going to be assessing the high bar position. In the high bar system, the bar is placed in position to sit on the upper traps. The lifter is leaning forward slightly but remains vertical to keep the bar over the midfoot. This can be seen clearly in the picture provided with the athlete sitting in the bottom position of the lift. Here is my athlete attempting the high bar squat. As you can see, the bar is placed firmly on the upper trap muscles. The athlete initiates the descent from the hips, sitting down into the hole created between the legs. My athlete then tries to keep a vertical torso, keeping the bar path directly in line with the midfoot. In contrast to this, I have now asked my second athlete to descend their squat, initiating the depth from the knees. As you can see here, he struggles to reach the same level of depth as the first athlete. This is because he has reached his ankle dorsiflexion limit way before he has reached his full squat depth potential. As you can see from the side view, this task requires the anterior to demonstrate an ability to stay open and fight the resistance of the bar. This demonstrates flexibility as much as it does strength. The distance the knee has to travel over the toes means the quadricep muscles take a lot of the load and require a strong ability to extend the knee back to the start position when the athlete stands tall again. This also means the athlete has to demonstrate a good ability to allow the ankle to dorsiflex to compensate for the knee's position of anterior loading. Once the squat is set up, it is important to understand the angles and directions in which the joints move. On the descent, the athlete pushes their hips back, creating an open angle at the hip joint. This is otherwise known as hip extension. As this happens at the hip, to help the athlete continue their quest to descend, the knee moves forward into flexion and the ankle is required to dorsiflex. During the ascending phase of the squat, the complete opposite happens. The ankle's dorsiflexion returns back to a more neutral state. The knee returns from flexion back into extension. The hip extension that was created by sitting back flexes back to its neutral beginning. Something to note with the high bar placement on the back is that in the high bar position, when you are completely folded in the squat, the load from the barbell is equally distributed between hip and knee joints. As mentioned, a high bar squat requires a vertical back, i.e. the torso, and this creates a domino effect. The hip angle must become more open if the back angle is more vertical, and the knee angle must become more acute if the hip angle is more open as the knees get pushed forward. Having an acute knee angle means that the hamstrings, which cross the knee and hip joints, are contracted and slackened, which means they won't be able to contract any further to help extend the hips out of the hole. This means that there is more emphasis placed on the quads and glutes as the primary movers to compensate for the lack of involvement from the hamstrings. That being said, the hamstrings do receive slight tension once the knee angle opens up during the ascent of the squat. So as discussed before, because of the positioning of the barbell, there is an even distribution of the load on the muscles around the hip and the knee joints. What is apparent with this athlete, however, is that there is an ever so slight lean forward from the torso. even though she is attempting a high bar model of the squat. This discrepancy, although minor, means there is an ever so slight increase of the load to the hip area rather than the attempted equality of load through hip and knee.